Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is about the 9 attitudes of mindfulness and how they're related to our habits, first of all. And then, and I guess I'll just launch off by saying that as I was doing this series about habits, I noticed that every time I was talking about stuff, it was unavoidable. The 9 attitudes just kept showing up, and that's really that's really the kind of the heart of it, is that the 9 attitudes start to show up in everything that you're doing when you, well, in fact, I guess that's it, is that you don't even necessarily have to bring attention to them all the time. That those things are always, or access to those things are always there. And I find that it's always happening kind of in the background for me. And that's really, I guess that's really the way to get started, is that the 9 attitudes aren't a list of things to remember. They aren't, they aren't all about knowing the facts. They are integrating them into the way of being. So just like the last live event that we talked about was about identity. So knowing that it's not about what I'm doing, right? It's not about I'm trying to be a better meditator. It's more about that integration of these things into our lives, and it becomes a part of who we are. And so we don't even have to consciously think about these things, because we notice that they're already there and that they are manifesting in everything that we do. So this is really kind of what we're going for. And I think the more that we practice, and I think it's good to name these 9 attitudes. I mean, what's interesting in MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, where these things kind of come from. In fact, the first time the 9 attitudes are mentioned are in Jon Kabat-Zinn's Full Catastrophe Living. So, I'll just write that here. Full Catastrophe Living is where these 9 attitudes are mentioned the first time. And I think Jon Kabat-Zinn, the way that how he writes it, it's okay. I mean, it's good as the first go, but it's not so much. I'd say it's only like a page and a half for each of the attitudes. And I feel like as I explored the 9 attitudes, or as I have been exploring the 9 attitudes, there's a lot more to say about them than just a page and a half. And I think as I built the course, I tried to also integrate my own personal journey through the 9 attitudes here. So I think that's helpful and useful in seeing how they may develop in your own life. It's something that I've always tried to mention here in these live events, is that, what's great about writing in the chat is that your experience, although is unique to you, probably shares common characteristics with the experiences that other people are having. So if something's coming up for you, please write it in the chat, because what you're experiencing is likely valid and might resonate with somebody else. That's another reason I love the course, is that it's got the classroom comments. So something's going on for you, you can talk about it in the classroom, and then it gives me an opportunity to give you a voice reply. And that's something actually that I've really enjoyed doing lately, is putting a lot of voice replies inside of the classroom comments. And I mean, it's nice too, because I have the space to think about it. Here I'm more just giving you a kind of an off the cuff response. So Oh, and Sybil says, I watched Change That Lasts, and that was so spot on for me. Great. I'm so happy to hear that. And so what are the 9 attitudes? Let me break those down, because I guess I'm kind of talking around them now without talking about them specifically. So I guess I'll just go ahead and write each of them in the chat. Non-judging. So non-judging is that things happen. The first thing that popped into my mind was the one with the expletive in it. Stuff happens. And stuff happens all the time. And stuff is happening all the time. And what you may or may not notice is that you have an opinion of everything that's going on. So what is that like? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it neither good nor bad? Is it something that's neutral? And, these days, especially with the engagement that we have with with the internet, however we engage with it, being bored is something that comes up a lot. So often, what is neither good nor bad becomes bad because of our tendency to label boredom as something that's bad. So what's good, what's bad, and how do we notice? And can we notice? I think that maybe that's the most important piece about non-judging, is simply noticing those labels that our mind is putting onto everything. So I like this. I don't like that. I want more of this. Give me more of this. This, I don't want that. Get that away. Right? And so just seeing that the mind does this all the time, that's what non-judging is about. So can you be observing? It's not about making the judgments go away, because it's like making mind wandering stop. It's something that you just can't do with your mind. You can't will your mind to stop doing these things, right? And in meditation practice, you can see, hey, there's the pain in my leg that I'm experiencing is unpleasant, and noticing that. So a lot of this is about equanimity, right? Noticing the opinions without getting caught up in the story. That's non-judging. And I think non-judging is, I don't know, all the attitudes are important, but for some reason, non-judging kind of bubbles up to me as the most upfront, in-your-face attitude, the one that I like talking about more than the others, because I just think it's so important to see these things as just as experiences, and not to get caught up in the story that goes along with these experiences. Rachel says, opinions are irrelevant, only facts matter. And that's funny too, because, what are, what we consider are facts are also can create judgments inside, right? And that's interesting to notice as well. So what does this fact make me feel inside? So that's attitude number 1. Second attitude is patience. Patience is simply, in one sentence, letting things unfold in their own time. Things take time. We can't force things to happen in a certain way. And that means not only externally, but inside of ourselves as well. So can you let this process work? Whatever it is that's happening. And the other thing about patience too is that you can't force patience itself. Just like judging is natural, it's something that's going to happen. Your mind's going to have these opinions, and you can't force them to go away. But through your observation of those opinions, you can become less attached to them. And so patience is kind of the same. So the only way, if I could grit my teeth and go, I'm going to be more patient, which which sounds counterintuitive in and of itself. Of course, wouldn't we all be more patient if we could? But it's not like flipping a switch. It takes that practice. So can I be patient as I cultivate patience? So can I be patient about my patience? So that's that's another thing to observe. Florence says, I have ADHD, so dopamine seeking means I get stuck doing things that give me the quick fix. So, and of course that can make it hard to break break habits for sure. And that's, and this is part of the practice as well, is meeting yourself where you are. I am exactly here, and it's tempting to look over at our neighbor and say, wow, look at how easy it is for her. And who knows too, is looks can be deceiving. The most important piece is just kind of going, this is me. This is the hand that I'm dealt. This is what I have to work with, right? I don't get, it's not 5-card draw. You don't get to discard your whole hand if you don't like it. You've got to be, you've got what you've got, and you're gonna have to work with it. And that's it. Is it fair? Of course, it's not fair. It's something that I have to deal with all the time with my kids. Just reminding them, hey, like the way that I interact with you, like this situation with your brother isn't related to you, right? Just because this happens doesn't mean that this happens for them. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen for you like that. It's a good timing. See, here, let me put up my 9 Attitudes course. See? It's like, shake your moneymaker, Frank. He's purring. I know maybe he doesn't look happy, but he's happy. All right, you can go on the sofa. Yeah, Frank's my. That's good. It's nice to hear him scratching at the door. He hasn't showed up for a while, so it's good to have Frank show up. Thanks, Gene, thanks for the donation, Gene. Okay, gosh. Well, I made it through 2 of the attitudes, and it's time to start the meditation, which is like, that's why I wanted to get down. Okay, so let's see. I wrote a 1-sentence blurb for each of the attitudes, so I'll just go ahead and say each of those, so that we do have something for each. Beginner's mind that's attitude number 3, meeting each moment as if for the very first time. So noticing the attachment we have. See, it's hard for me to stick it to 1 sentence. Noticing the attachment we have to the way things were. A trust. That's attitude number 4. Confidence in your own inner wisdom. It's a good summary. Non-striving. Letting go of the need to achieve in everything that we do. Acceptance, seeing things as they are before trying to change them. Letting go, releasing what we can't control. Gratitude, turning awareness towards what's already supporting us. And generosity, letting mindfulness naturally expand into kindness. Great. Now Frank, of course he's in here wanting to cause trouble. So I'm going to try and lead a meditation and keep my attention focused on this without Frank like biting things and pulling them down. Knocking over my camera. I can see that happening. here soon. Thanks, CC, for your donation. Okay, and I guess so, what I'm going to do here for the meditation is I find that the most helpful meditation for me in my practice, and I feel that it's awareness of breath. It's focusing on the feeling of breathing. And the reason that I do this meditation, or that I lead this meditation so often, is because I think it's just so applicable to everything that we do. It is just so foundational. And as I think about in my mind all of the 9 attitudes, I can see how every single one of the 9 attitudes, maybe with the exception of, gratitude and generosity, they also show up. But generosity may be a little bit more in loving kindness meditations. That all of the attitudes show up when we're doing awareness of breath. And so this is kind of one of the main reasons to use this meditation so often, is just because it has so much applicability across the board, that it really is about this cultivation. I wanted to say I had to write an email yesterday that was, I've got problems in my apartment. So there's this, a leakage. I've got water leakage in my apartment when it rains hard, and I've been sending not angry, but pointed emails, right? I make sure that the emails aren't angry, right? That they're professional, they're pointed to the management. And yesterday there was so little going on that I had to escalate this email to a bigger boss. And it was just funny to see the anxiety that was going on in that. And just to learn, and to try to use this as a learning opportunity about myself. Hey, this is something that I don't enjoy confrontation. Confrontation makes me feel stressed. And then the self-judging that came along with that. Like, why am I like this? Why can't I be confrontational without it feeling stressed, and then feeling upset about that? So this was a prime example of like judging in my mind. Why can't I be more this way? Of non-acceptance, of wanting to be something else than what I am, and striving to be different from how I am. And so as that happened, I just noticed all of the 9 attitudes showing up. And that awareness that came from it, and so that I thought that was really a useful little teaching point, and I wanted to share, because hey, I'm human. I don't have all this stuff mastered. I'm not super Zen man, at least at this point in my life. I'm still working on it. I'm meditating every day. I'm doing all the things I know to prepare myself and to make myself as good as I am, as good as I can be, and as prepared as I can be, best for my health, best for interacting with others. And then, kind of the last piece was to offer kindness, to offer compassion to myself, and to say, hey, it's okay. It's okay to be this way right now. So, that's it. Why can't I be better all the time? We're all works in progress. Thanks, Jason, for sharing. So I guess I just wanted to share that kind of that little personal story, because it was definitely a way for me to see all the 9 attitudes in action. Gosh, he's a big boy. Those attitudes have meant a lot to me in my practice, and not just my meditation practice, but also in my daily life. And I think that's really, that's the name of today's topic, is the 9 attitudes in daily life. And I think that's important to name. We don't, at least for me, and I think a lot of us, meditation isn't just about it's not just about sitting on the cushion. Just like when you go to the gym, it's not just about being in the gym, right? We don't usually go to the gym. I mean, some people absolutely love being in the gym. That's not really me. I'm in the gym more for the result that I know that the gym has on my body. And so the meditation practice, although there are times that it feels pleasant, to be honest, those times are kind of few and far between. Most of the time, sitting in meditation feels like work, and I often find my mind wandering to all of the other things that I want to be doing. So, I don't know if that's you, but the point being is that I'm not meditating for the sake of meditation. I'm meditating because I not just believe, not just trust, I have experienced that meditation alters the rest of my life. And so that's the reason that I do it. Just like going to the gym. It doesn't just alter my body. Going to the gym alters my mind state as well. Makes me a bit happier. Maybe it's a way to relieve stress. Maybe it's things that I can't even fully articulate. So that's what meditation's like for me. It's something that I can't fully articulate. I don't understand why meditation makes my life better, but it does. And it does in a lot of different ways. And the 9 attitudes are something that we can apply inside of the meditation practice. And while we apply it inside of the meditation practice, it naturally starts to bubble out into our real lives, into our daily working lives. So even integrating 9 attitudes into our daily life isn't something that even needs to be, it doesn't need to be forced. It's something that just happens. And that's, and as well as the benefit that comes from meditation practice is like that for me. It's something that I don't link. It's not until far after. I don't link my meditation practice with the skill that I have in my daily life. I don't link the fact that I meditated today and that gave me a larger reservoir of patience, for example, to be able to tap into. So that's kind of where I want to get started when it comes to the 9 attitudes of mindfulness. Thanks, Gene, for your endorsement of the course. It's I've had a lot of really fun comments and feedback, and I guess I just want to say one other thing is that it is my first course on Insight Timer, even though I've been doing live events and I've been doing live events for about 5 years. I've had material on here since 2018 for the classes that I teach. So it was some of those guided meditations that I would use in classes. Those are here on Insight Timer as well. So like 45-minute body scan. That is one of the quintessential guided meditations that we use in mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's a little long perhaps for the typical Insight Timer meditation. So I've been here for a long time, but this is my first course. And I have to say, it feels awesome to have published it. I think what feels even better is the classroom comments. So that's a place that I'm probably preaching to the choir here. It's a lot of people who already know what's going on, but it was fun for me to be able to read somebody's interaction about somebody's feedback about one of the particular days of the course, and for me to be able to give them a voice response and to say, here's something to take note of. That's amazing that you noticed this in this lesson, but also add this in. Notice this as well. So it's really been great. So the 9 attitudes, and I think that this happened to me this morning too, is that I ended up talking far too long about other things. I talked a lot about the first 2 attitudes, which are really impactful. And I'd say the first attitude really, although all of the attitudes interconnect, the first attitude really stands out as one that's foundational, and that's non-judging. And so non-judging, I think the very first time I heard non-judging, and maybe when you hear it, you think about, not judging others, right? That you see somebody do something and you don't judge based on what you see. And so this is not really what non-judging is about. That's a component of it, but the most important part of non-judging is not judging yourself, not judging your own reactions. So when we engage in life, we naturally have a commentary. There's an inner commentary. We've got this little like voice inside our head that's always kind of, and sometimes it doesn't manifest as a voice, but it always has an opinion about something. How does this thing relate to me? Do I like this? Do I not like this? Do I want more of this? Do I want less of that? Right? What is this about? And noticing that the mind has an opinion. And noticing that sometimes we even have an opinion about our opinion. And so non-judging is digging into that. It's not making it go away. I think that's an important thing to note about non-judging. The word, the non part makes it seem like that, like the judging goes away, right? This is not what non-judging is about. Non-judging doesn't mean that judgment goes away. Judgment is still there. It's just that we're adding an additional layer of awareness to the judgment that we have. So we see, like, hey, the smell in this room is unpleasant. It's bothering me, right? It's what is the effect it's having on me, right? So starting to pull back, and that's what mindfulness does. It kind of gives us this additional, like, out here. Here's this awareness. Here's what's going on. Here's the awareness of what's going on. And the more that we meditate, the more this awareness thing kind of starts to separate out, and we have more space between ourselves and the part of ourselves that sees ourselves. I'll just do a quick little side note, right? It was in a meditation teacher training, there was someone who was talking about, in the meditation, I was meditating and I felt so lost. And I was just, I was troubled. I was anxious about being lost. And the teacher said to that participant, was the part of you that knew that you were lost? Right? And then she says, no, it's not. And so awareness is like that. It's this part that's kind of disconnected from the rest of us. It's like when you look at the mirror and you see yourself in a particular emotional state and are able to look with a more objective point of view. And so mindfulness gives us this ability to do that. So non-judging. Can we see our experience? Can we see our own judging, our labeling things as good, as bad, or as neutral with a clear mind? To see, I find this experience unpleasant. I find this experience pleasant. This experience is neutral. I don't have an opinion about it. And, sometimes when things are neutral, we want to rush through them. So non-judging really is kind of the foundational attitude of the Nine Attitudes. And Jean says, and then there's stepping back again and noticing the noticing, or judging the self-judgment. And that's really interesting when that happens too. Savi says, even when I have a conversation, I seem to disconnect. And that's interesting to notice as well. And again, mindfulness really, like the word mindfulness means nothing more than awareness. Really, it can be broken down to awareness of what's happening. And that's really what the meditation practice is about. It's about training awareness and training our ability to pay attention and to be present. Attitude number 2 is patience. So patience is, again, it's not something that you can force. If I wanted to be more patient, couldn't I just snap my fingers and be more patient? right? I mean, if it's that easy, wouldn't everybody just be more patient all the time? Because being impatient certainly is, back to judging, unpleasant. It's not great. It doesn't feel good to be standing in line at the post office and looking at your watch and going, "Oh my gosh, when is this going to be over?" You know, Patience is something that takes time and takes practice. And again, in our meditation, we notice that this can be cultivated. That when we set our timer for, and today we're going to meditate together for 20 minutes, how does that sound? What are you going to feel like at the 10-minute mark? Are you going to, in that period, feel impatient and want it to continue, want something more exciting to come along? Okay, so I'll go through the rest. We'll start the meditation in about 2.5 minutes. So attitude number 3 is beginner's mind, and I've got like to keep myself under control, 1 sentence for each of these. Beginner's mind, meeting each moment as if for the very first time. And I'll expound a little bit on each of these. Can the breath be interesting? Can paying attention to the feeling of breathing be interesting? Beginner's mind helps with that. And beginner's mind helps in a lot of ways to see something familiar and recognize that the past is the past, and what we're seeing right now may be very severely clouded by our past experience of what that thing is. Trust. Confidence in your own inner wisdom. Your body and your mind have a wisdom that has been carried throughout all of these years that you've been building up over the years. Your experience has built inner wisdom in both the body and the mind, and even in the emotions, believe it or not. And you can learn to trust this inner wisdom that is there and has always been there. Attitude 5, non-striving, letting go of the need to achieve in every breath. We live in a world that values productivity, and it can be really difficult to let go of this desire to constantly be productive, to constantly be better. For whatever version of me is here right now is not good enough, and I need something more. That's non-striving. Non-striving is recognizing that and trying to be able to rest in the knowledge that what is here right now is enough. Acceptance, closely related, seeing things as they are before trying to change them. This is here now. Letting go, releasing what we can't control. Number 8, gratitude, turning awareness to what's already here and what's already supporting us. And then number 9 is generosity, letting mindfulness naturally expand into kindness. And as always, we will close our practice with some kindness to ourselves and some kindness to everybody else that's here. So that part is something I intentionally bring to every one of my live events, is this generously giving what it is that I'm cultivating, generously wishing well for others, not just here, but everywhere in the world. So, you guys ready to go? All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the meditation portion. So get comfortable. So find a posture that is going to be supportive of you to, as best you can, remain still. Often choosing as best we can a place that's silent can be helpful to minimize external distractions. So the idea is to minimize external and internal distractions as best we can. And one way to do that is by sitting still. Because when we sit still, imagine a still lake. If a stone skips across that lake, no matter where you are, no matter what side of the lake you're on, you can see it. But imagine now again that same lake, but it's raining. And then someone on the other side of the lake skips the stone across. Do you see it? How much do you have to strain to see it? So this is the idea of stillness in our meditation practice. We sit still to minimize what's going on so that when things bubble up, and they will, you can see them with clarity. So feel free to close the eyes if that feels comfortable for you. If you're sitting in a chair, I would encourage you to bring your back away from the backrest. So the posture is not important only for stillness, but also, it's for comfort and for alertness. If we can stay alert, if we don't doze off, it's a lot easier to see that stone skipping across the lake when you're awake and when you're fully awake, when you're not dozing off. And so this posture, we choose a posture that is conducive for awakeness, alertness, but also comfort. So see if you can find balance today between alertness and comfort. And so now I'd like to invite you to begin tuning into your body. Sensations in the body. And so let's begin at the head. So maybe when you're opening awareness to the entire body, there's a lot of things that you feel. So just feeling into the head and the face. In this region, what do you notice? So the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw. Is it relaxed? Or is it tense? Is it neither relaxed nor tense? Is it something in between? Is it something different altogether? And now moving attention to the shoulders and the neck. What do you observe here in this region of the body? And can you notice moment by moment that things may be changing? It may be a little bit harder to notice in these areas where the body is still. So let's guide our attention down to the belly. Notice how the belly moves with each breath. Expanding as we breathe in, contracting as we breathe out. Inhaling, followed by exhaling, followed by inhaling, followed by exhaling. And so let me remind you, in case you don't know already, that there's no right way to be breathing. You're breathing the way that you're breathing. You're alive. Your body is keeping you alive, partially, among other things, through your breath. So can you observe just this normal, natural process? Can you observe with beginner's mind, as if you never noticed before that you were breathing? What does this inhalation feel like? What does this exhalation feel like? Can you notice the point at which the inhalation becomes an exhalation? Can you notice the point at which the exhalation becomes the inhalation? So can you take that awareness dial and turn it all the way up so that you are laser focused on observing the belly, feeling the belly expanding and contracting over and over again with the breath, each time a little bit different than the last. And in this space of silence, you might start to notice the inner commentary coming up. Just remember that's normal, it's natural, it's not something to actively resist or push away. So when it happens, just notice it. Notice that it has happened. Accept as best you can. This is where my mind is right now. And then, as best you can, release it. Awareness gives access to that release. Ah, here it is. I don't have to follow it. I can return my attention to the breath. I can return my attention to this present moment. And what else may be happening in the mind? Are we trying to jump to the end? What's Ryan going to say next? When is this over? It's like these are the opportunities to work on patience. To notice when the mind is being impatient. That awareness, that mindfulness, that is enough. You'll find that awareness alone, awareness itself, is already more than half of the process. When the mind wanders, do you find yourself judging? I'm no good at this. Why can't my mind stay focused? Just recognize this is what meditation is like for me right now. Accept, acknowledge. It's okay. Your mind may wander 100 times during this short practice. It's fine. It's all the way that meditation is. If you try to actively change it, you may find that in fact increases your resistance. So try as best you can to be an active, passive observer. Just watch the breath as best you can. That's enough. So keep it up. You're doing great. I would encourage you to stick with the practice as best you can. If you find yourself getting bored and wanting to do something else, noticing that. As best you can, sticking with it. We have less than 4 minutes to go. So I will stay in silence and we'll let you know when those 4 minutes is up and the meditation is going to start drawing itself to its close. Congratulations, everyone, on making it through today's practice. Let's just take a moment to have some gratitude to ourselves for having made the time to take care of ourselves in this way and to go to the gym for the mind. You are different because of what you've just done. And it's important to take credit for that. I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for sharing this time with me and being here with each other. Thanks, Laura. Great to see you, 4 a.m. Hope you're doing okay. Thank you, Ray. Carly says, grateful for the reminder to block out not only external but internal distractions. And I just want to draw attention to the words block out. it's the idea is not to minimize. And first of all, thanks, Carly, so much for your sharing. And I know I can feel the spirit of what you're trying to say. And so this is really not to you directly, but more to just the everybody that's here. And so it's, instead of blocking out, it's about minimizing the chance of those distractions happening. So yes, it can feel less frustrating in our meditation practice when we have less external and internal distractions. And I think that is, that can be key to making sure that we come back. One of the problems with meditation is that it's easy to take 2 days off, 10 days off, right? And because it's just hard. It's hard for me. I don't know about you guys, but it's hard for me to get on my cushion every day. I'm not like, yay, it's meditation time, It's something that I really have to be determined to do. And so, whatever's going to help you. And I think that being in an environment that is quieter, has less external distractions, that we sit still to minimize internal distractions. But, to say blocking out has a kind of resistance. And I think that this is really important to make this distinction, that mindfulness practice is about rolling out the red carpet, rolling out the welcome mat. Welcome everything that's here. Welcome you to this moment. You are already here. Anxiety. You are already here. Anger. You are already here. Frustration. Welcome. Come in. Have a seat. Have some tea. Don't just roll out the welcome mat. Roll out the red carpet. Because each visitor that comes has been sent as a guide from beyond, to quote Rumi and the Guest House. So the 9 attitudes are non-judging, seeing clearly without labeling right or wrong, or perhaps more accurately, seeing clearly when we are labeling something as good, bad, or neutral. Is this something that's pleasant? Is this something that's unpleasant? Is this something that I'm experiencing that is neither pleasant nor unpleasant? Our mind loves to give labels without asking our permission. Our mind just says, okay, I'm going to label this thing as good. This piece of chocolate cake I'm eating is good. So non-judging. Can we see how we judge things all the time in our lives? Attitude number 2 is patience. Patience is at the core allowing things to unfold in their own time. Things don't happen instantly. And that can be a mystery for some of us that live in this day and age of instant gratification. And so know that things don't happen instantly. There are some things that take time. And the most important thing to understand in patience is ourselves. As we work on ourselves, we will see that, no, this change that I want to make, as much as I want to make it right now, it's not going to happen instantly. And there are physiological reasons in our brains why they can't happen instantly. And in fact, I just spent the last 2 months doing sessions about changing habits. So adding positive habits, subtracting unwanted habits. What's that like, and why does it take so long? And patience underlies all of this. If we can cultivate patience, then maybe it's not so hard, not so frustrating when we don't achieve the thing that we want instantly. And by the way, as I'm talking about patience, the other attitudes are coming into my mind because all of these attitudes are interlinked with each other. So what you see in patience manifests as well in attitude number 5, non-striving. So, non-striving is trying our best to let go of the result, to just be with the process, and understanding that sometimes as we trying to get somewhere can actually make it harder to get there. This one's maybe one of the more counterintuitive attitudes. Okay, so instead of skipping around, I'll go to attitude number 3, beginner's mind. Meeting each moment in our lives as if it were the very first time. And so we can practice that in meditation through observing the breath, observing how every time we breathe, it feels a lot like the last time we just breathed. Is it possible for us to come towards the breath with beginner's mind, to observe it as if it were the very first time, curiously? And how can we bring this into the rest of our lives? Is that a lot of times we feel bored with these things that we've done. I'll just tell a little offshoot story. I was in Sri Lanka a few years ago, going to a meditation retreat, and I was on the train going from Colombo to Kandy. And Kandy, if you don't know, is in the middle of Sri Lanka. Colombo's on the coast. And so as I was going, I was looking out the window and just seeing the mountains. And there was a local person who was with me in the train. And as I looked, I go, wow, the mountains are beautiful. And she looked out and she kind of paused for a moment and she's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I've seen these mountains so many times that I've forgotten how beautiful they are. And I think that can happen in life in a lot of different situations, that we tend to, because of our familiarity. I mean, what do they say? Familiarity breeds contempt. Because we're so familiar with the thing that we've seen that we've lost our sense of wonder about it. And another thing is that because we've seen something so many times, we expect that thing to show up the way that it's always been, or the way that we remember it. We don't see it for what it truly is because we're so caught up in our memory of it and forcing it into the mold that we have for it. And so this really, so beginner's mind, observing the breath for the first time, but also as we bring it into our lives, can we learn that these things aren't set in stone? People, our relationships aren't set in stone. Everything is constantly changing, and beginner's mind can help us bring that intentionally into our minds. Number 4 is trust. Confidence in your own inner wisdom. And I think that's something that we tend to take for granted. We forget that our bodies are working. We forget that being alive in and of itself, there's like a 1,000 things going on inside of our bodies that make it possible to be alive in this moment. And if just one of those is out of whack, you're going to be having a seriously bad time. So okay, the body works physically. And even if you think your body doesn't work well, right? The fact that you're alive proves otherwise, that there is some, maybe you don't like your right knee hurts all the time, right? Or maybe you suffer from tinnitus. You're always hearing ringing in your ears, The fact that you are alive says that there's more right going on than wrong that's going on. And you can trust that your body is going to support you. And so the body, the mind, the emotions are all interconnected, have strong relationships between all of these things. And as I was saying earlier, right, mindfulness is the one type of meditation that has scientific backing to show that it is different from a lot of the other methods. And what makes it different is that it does have evidence to show that the brain has physiological changes when you practice regularly. So your practice and also what you think, what you do, what you pay attention to is constantly changing the physical structure of the brain. So your mental pathways, you've been learning since you were a child. All of this stuff is there. It's all a part of you. And, sometimes we get upset about the way things were, the way things have been, and the patterns that I'm into. But all of that rises out of you wanting to protect yourself, your body wanting to protect itself, your mind wanting what's best for you. And so it's possible for us in these times where we think that nothing is reliable inside of ourselves, that in fact, there is so much that is working and is reliable. We have so much innate inner wisdom that oftentimes we just don't acknowledge. And so that's really what's at the heart of trust. Acceptance. Seeing things as they are before trying to change them is a summary of acceptance. Acceptance is, I am here right now. I mean, I think that's the easiest way to sum up acceptance, right? This is where I am. You can look at it physically, right? I'm sitting in this room, right? And then we move on to other things, right? I am as I am in this moment. I am feeling the emotion that I'm feeling, right? Acceptance isn't about pushing something away or denying that it's there. Acceptance is rolling out the welcome mat. Welcome emotion. Welcome physical sensation. Welcome thought that I don't want to be here, right? You'll find that it's easier to let go of something that is challenging if you can first admit that it's there. And you'll notice it in the meditation practice. Okay, I'll pause. Am I in Singapore intentionally? Not to be in the West intentionally. No, that's not the reason. I'm not here to escape the West, so to speak. I'm here for a lot of reasons, which I'll tell you about in another live session as to what brought me here. I've been in Asia for almost 20 years now. So back when things in the West were still looking rosy and peachy, I've moved over here, and I've kind of steeped myself in mostly Chinese culture. I've lived in China, I've lived in Hong Kong, I've lived in Singapore in these times. So it's good to be here. Thanks, AJ, for asking. Letting go, the natural partner to acceptance. Once we see things the way they are, it becomes easier to let go of our grasp. Of course, there's more to it. The last two attitudes are gratitude and generosity. Gratitude is tuning awareness towards what's already supporting us. As we talk about trust, that integrates here well with gratitude as well. Can I see what is supporting me, and can I be grateful for that? Just to know that it's there, and to recognize that it's there. I mean, what is gratitude? Gratitude is that acknowledgement that something has gone right. Something is going right. And last is generosity. Generosity is kind of like the icing on the cake. It's as I'm supporting myself, as I begin to feel supported, I realize that something that helps to cultivate the support that I have for myself is actually giving to others as well. To realize that I am not alone, that I am a piece of something that's bigger than me. And that's really where we can first notice generosity. I end all of my sessions with generosity, and the generosity is nothing more than acknowledging that there are other people here on this meditation with me and wishing them well. And then at the end, acknowledging that there are so many human beings sharing this planet with me, and can I wish them well? So, starting with myself, gratitude, well wishes for myself, and then expanding outwards. So that's the 9 attitudes in a nutshell. I think it's important to say here that, although I can rattle off the 9 attitudes quite easily, they come from Jon Kabat-Zinn's book Full Catastrophe Living, but I've added a lot more than what you'll find in the book in my course. So they are not a list to memorize. They are not something that you have to know. This course doesn't exist so that you can memorize all of these things. The course exists because as you practice, as you start to keep maybe one of these attitudes in mind, you'll start to see how it manifests in your daily life. And you'll start to recognize that actually this isn't something I have to intentionally do. It was here all along. And so these are not lists to memorize. They are ways of being. They are ways that you will integrate this. You will be able to integrate these into your daily life. Anne says, it was helpful for me to hear once that we don't give thought or attention to the breath we took 5 minutes ago or to the breath we will be taking in the future. Breathing is present moment. Thanks, Anne. Thanks so much for sharing that. The present is the only moment we have. That's the only moment that truly exists for us human beings. Who knows, maybe there's some other kind of life form that exists out of time. But us, well, we are bound by time, and we go in one direction that's forward. And the present moment is the one thing that exists. The past is a concept. The future is a concept. These things don't exist in the same way that the present does. Thank you, Shem. It's great to have you here. From Northern California. Cool. Thanks, Suleiman. Let's close this practice today with the way that I do, which is with some generosity. So, sending some well wishes to ourselves, sending some well wishes to everybody who's here today, and then sending some well wishes to the entire world. So repeat after me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life on this planet, throughout this universe, all human beings near and far, those who I agree with, those who may be challenging for me, no matter who they are, I wish them happiness and peace. Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you, Jean. Thanks, Carol. And the course was a surprising amount of work, but I'm really pleased how it's turned out, and I hope that you'll enjoy it too. Take care, everybody. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are, and I'll see you again soon. So 48 hours from now, 47 hours from now, I'll be back to do another lesson at this time. Thanks, Nancy. Until next time. Bye-bye.